Ah, I really tried for that one. I really thought it was gonna be super cool. What's going on, fellow fans, fellow Drops fans, fans of coffee near and far? My name is Haley. I am with Fellow in our pink room studio in the store and playground that we have here on Valencia Street in San Francisco, California. I'm here to brew Populace Rwanda Cyato Natural on Aeropress today because at Fellow we love Aeropress, and we love Aeropress so much that we developed an attachment for it called Prismo. It's a metal filter attachment, so you don't need paper filters anymore. Also, it is leak proof. It'll only allow liquid to come through when you plunge, and that allows for pressure to build up inside this chamber, getting you a fluffier, kind of more decadent, more espresso-like mouthfeel without the espresso machine at home or on the go. And I'm super, super stoked to bring this coffee to you as well. Populace is out of Bay City, Michigan, and this Rwanda Cyato Natural is so delicious. The way that we're brewing it with a really, really tight ratio, it's tamarind, it's pulpy fruit juice. I got a lot of guava juice in it. Some lavender florals also on the underside, just chef's kiss. Again, really, really tight ratio though. It's probably gonna blow your minds. We're brewing 30 grams of coffee in. We're gonna do 100 grams of water first in the chamber. We're gonna agitate for 20 seconds at 30 seconds, so we'll let it bloom for 30 seconds and then agitate 20 times, or about 20 seconds at 30 seconds. We're gonna let it brew for 3 minutes, and then we're gonna press it. After we press, we're gonna do something where it calls for a bypass, so we're gonna actually dilute a bit. We're gonna add 120 grams of water at the end, and we are brewing all of this at 200 degrees Fahrenheit, so a little bit cooler so as not to over agitate. And we are grinding at a 2 on Ode with SSP, calibrated to 5 clicks off chirp. I would grind at a 1 on Ode, calibrated 1 click off chirp. Not any other grinder, medium fine to leaning over into fine, but not too fine. Like fine, on the fine end of the filter spectrum is how I would say it. This recipe and technique that I am using today is based on the 2019 World Aeropress Championship winning recipe. Loosely, of course, I took some liberties when I was dialing in, and I really got into it and tinkered with it, and I think that for this coffee, it's really shining at this crazy pushed out ratio. It's just, you'll have to tell me what you think of it. You'll try it and you let me know what you think of it. Now you'll notice that I'm brewing not inverted, right? With Prismo, I don't brew inverted because it is leak proof, so there's no need to. With your standard attachment, if you're using the standard attachment, I would highly recommend brewing inverted instead of right side up, because we're gonna let this sit for 3 minutes, and you really wanna maximize extraction and not let all of the coffee drip through to your vessel before you're ready to plunge. So again, standard attachment, I would brew inverted, but for Prismo, I'm gonna brew right side up on my mighty small glass carafe and call it a day. Okay, so first thing that you want to do is pre-warm your Aeropress and your vessel. Pre-wetting in this instance isn't really super important, right? Because there's no papery taste to wash out. If you do have the standard attachment, however, definitely pre-wet your filter because you do want to wash that papery taste out. I'm going to go ahead and pour out my pre-warmed water because we are going to bypass or dilute. We don't want to dilute more or unintentionally, right? We want it to be very intentional. And diluting in this case kind of gives you sort of the bridge, in my mind, the bridge between like an Americano and a drip. It's really interesting. Again, you'll have to let me know what you think of it in the comments. We always love to hear from you. All right, so I'm gonna pour my 30 grams of coffee into my Aeropress carefully, either with the funnel that comes in the Aeropress kit, or I like to use my Stag X funnel that came with my Stag X dripper. We're gonna flatten out our bed of grounds. Again, just good practice to have. It's not super important with Aeropress because you're gonna wanna soak everything, right, pretty quickly, but again, good to keep in practice, good to keep in technique. All right, so tear out my scale. I'm gonna start my timer and pour up to 100 grams. Trying to hit pretty much right on the mark there. All right. And this coffee is super, super gaseous still. It's really, really blooming right now. Lots of bubbles at the surface. Can't wait to agitate at 30 seconds for 20 seconds because that's really what's gonna give us a ton of the flavor and pull a lot of it out. Again, just really, really looking forward to that tamarind nature, that like pulpy guava juice situation, just super delicious at this crazy tight of a ratio. And I'm still agitating right up to 50 seconds, making sure that I'm feeling through kind of the whole chamber to make sure that everything is soaking evenly. As tends to be with Aeropress or other immersion brewers, sometimes you get chunks that are not kind of soaking all the way through, especially with Aeropress when you're brewing in such concentrated doses. You really want to make sure that there's nothing clumping up and there's nothing that is maybe more dry in the middle as a clump and wet on the outside, right? You want to break it up, you want to agitate, you want to get as much surface contact as possible here. You can let it sit. We're going up to 3 minutes. Remember, I am going to take my Aeropress off, as I often do, of my scale, right? Because nothing ruins your day faster than throwing your scale out of calibration or breaking your scale potentially because you are using your force to press down on top of it, right? Again, when we're going to press, I concentrate less on the amount of force and more on your press being even all the way through. So you're not pressing super hard at the beginning and then not so hard at the end, or vice versa. You want to keep it even all the way through and even to yourself, much like your espresso tamp pressure, and much like other things in coffee, which we just want to eliminate variables since we are humans and we are naturally variables, and coffee is an organic material and as such is a variable as well. And yeah, super excited to hear what you think of this. I know it's different from our standard 20 grams in to 200 grams out, like 10-to-1 ratio on Aeropress. So we wanted to try something a little bit wild for this coffee because when we brewed it on filter, it had such a jamminess and it had such a want to pop out with this like pulpy fruit juice situation, and we felt that it was, while it shined, and it totally shined on drip, which we suggest a 15 or a 16-to-1 on drip, we thought it would shine on Aeropress too. We had a feeling, and it does. All right, we're gonna go for an even press. Arm is going straight down there. All right, sweet. So now what you should have is a really dark, really concentrated, really, really fragrant cup in front of you, or in my case, mighty small glass carafe. Now you put it back on your scale. This is where the bypass is going to happen. This is where you're going to dilute your coffee. So we're going to go ahead and pour 120 grams of 200-degree water in, and no need for a timer on this one. Try to get as close to 120 grams as possible because, of course, you don't want to dilute too much or dilute unintentionally, right? All intentional bypass here. All right. And then that's it. You're ready to enjoy. I'm super ready to enjoy. Let's take a sip here. Pour myself a little short glass so I can get my slurp going. Professional slurper, that's what it says on my resume and job description here at Fellow. Haley Stevens, professional slurper. That's me. All right, let's get that nose. Oh yeah, definitely lavender florals on the back end and the nose. Maybe a little bit of prune on the nose too. Definitely the tamarind, like big tamarind energy here. Gonna aerate it a little bit, let it cool down just a little bit because we don't want to overwhelm our taste buds with heat. We want to actually give them a chance to taste everything that's in this coffee because believe me, you want to. And let's get slurping. Oh yeah. Super punchy tamarind, lavender, pulpy juice, just like the tightness of the ratio and then the bypass on top of that, that kind of mellows it out, really gives just a very fruit forward, fruit juice forward, slightly lavender floral, really, really round flavor experience, really rounded, juicy flavor experience. Very front heavy as well, and lingering just a little bit on the back. To me, it's very much, again, the bridge between an Americano and like a drip style coffee, because you still have that top loading flavor, you still have that forward like punch in the beginning like an Americano, but you have the volume and also more of the flavor experience of a drip coffee. And again, with Prismo, it just makes the mouth feel that much more decadent. Oh gosh, and just what a beautiful natural Rwanda. As always, thank you so much for being here for this brew guide. If you're looking for a brew guide for this coffee in reference to Stag X drippers or flat bottom drippers in general, I would suggest using a 15 or a 16 to 1 ratio for filter. Probably more like 15 to 1. Usually we do 22 grams in, 350 out for filter. Maybe try 23 or even 24 with this coffee. You can find techniques for Stag X dripper in a number of our other videos on our channel, so go check that out. Thank you so much for being here with me, Haley, in the Pink Room studio at Fellow Store and Playground in San Francisco. I'm stoked to be here with you guys weekly. Let me know what you think of the video. Let me know what you think of this recipe. Let me know if you have any comments, suggestions, or just want to say hi. We love hearing from you in the comment section below, and we do read your comments, take your suggestions very, very seriously, and we're just stoked to have you. And remember, it's always easy to order from Fellow Drops. All you have to do is text us back with a number of bags that you want, 1, 2, 5, 16, and we will send you coffee. If you don't text us back, no harm, no foul. We will not send you coffee. We also won't charge your card. It's that simple. Thank you so much for being here, you guys, and I will see you next week for another brew guide for a different Fellow Drop. See ya.